Hi, I'm the Warrior Witch and you can call me Nike. My hair is fresh buzzed, fresh cut, but that also means that I'm shedding a lot. So if you see little hairs on my face, no you don't. Let's get to what we're talking about today. I just wanted to have a little sit-down conversation and kind of go through things I wish I knew when I started witchcraft, or maybe before I started witchcraft. One of those. Y'all know the sentiment. A lot of us tend to come into whatever craft or tradition or space that we're working in, the magical occult sphere, and we come in with a lot of assumptions, and we sort of have this vision of what we think our path is going to be like and the ways that we're going to be on it, and pretty much all of them are wrong for the most part. I don't know many people that have been fairly spot on their imagination when they're at the beginning, so I thought it might be kind of helpful for those who are newer on their path to feel a little bit better if they feel a little not so confident on where they're going, or if they feel weird about things having changed. You know, maybe I'll just walk you through some of the ways that my path has changed from me learning and getting through my assumptions and my preconceived notions. One of the things I wish I knew when I was just starting was that not every part of your life has to be magical, and I would argue that it's important for parts of it not to be. Now, if you want to make every single part of your day a magical experience, that's great. But it can also lead to spiritual burnout really easily. And I've made a video on this before. I'll put it there, because I'll get it right this time. But I think that when you are trying to focus all of your energy all day, every day on making things magical, how to see things as magical, how to do things magical, it kind of leads to you getting burnt out because you're focusing on the same thing every single day, all day, and it really just sort of tires you out. You know, it's okay for parts of your day to just be mundane. Cooking can just be cooking. It doesn't have to be kitchen magic. Going for a walk doesn't have to be looking for herbs to dry and use in your spell work. It doesn't have to be appreciating nature in a magical or religious way. It can just be going for a walk in the fresh air. You know, you can spend hours playing Minecraft and you don't have to worry about how to make Minecraft magical for you. If you can and you do, great, but you know, you don't have to. There's this tendency to try to make all of it magical because we realize how special and cool it can be, but you know, I realized pretty quickly it wasn't healthy for me to try to make everything magical. This one was a big surprise. Community changed my path almost completely. And by that I mean meeting other witches and occultists and learning about their paths and the way that they do things and listening to them speak about what they're passionate about. It completely changed the course of where I was going or where I thought I would be going. You know, when I first started, I had this vision that I would be like a tarot reader and an herbalist. And while those things are still important to me, they're not the main focus of my craft, and I have learned a lot of techniques. I've learned about other traditions. I've learned about different ways to do things that are totally just not where I was headed, and I don't know that I would have found those things so organically just on my own, and I don't know that I would have seen how important they would be without the community to be around. Speaking of community, this one's a little bit more obvious, but just like with any community, the magical witchcraft and occult community has some of the best people I've ever met and some of the worst people. Every community is going to have its awful people, but wowzers, there's just a special, interesting mix of people. Especially in the occult sphere, OWAS did an episode about this, about some of the bad parts of the community, and we've spoken about them, so I won't really get into it here, but lots of, shall we say, sexism and white supremacy. Yeah. Moving on. Mundane safety is arguably more important than magical safety on my day-to-day. Now, magical safety is, of course, always important. You should always be doing it. Wards, protections, cleansings, etc. You should be doing them. But I focus a lot more on the mundane safety of things than I do on the magical safety of things, because I feel very confident in my magical safety, you know? I feel good about my wards, about my protection spells, about any of that stuff that I have to do. Fire safety and herb safety is a lot more of a intense focus. I'm very careful about my candles. I'm very careful about making sure that sparks don't go everywhere if a little breeze goes through. I have to make sure I don't turn on my ceiling fan if I have a candle lit, because that can make it get a little bit funky if it's a freestanding candle. Herbs can easily be poisonous if you're not careful. Certain parts are good while certain parts are bad. You know, you really have to be careful just day to day with some of that stuff about what you can use and how you have to use it and how you have to handle it. So, you know, weirdly, when you get in the magical sphere, at least for me, I thought that magical safety was going to be the big thing, because I thought I had, you know, physical safety down, but honestly, the physical safety still stayed a really, really big, important focus. Now here's the part that's interesting. So OWAS just recorded an episode about being atheist, and I speak about it a little bit on that episode, but I never thought I would be using the title of religious. Even once I got past my atheist phase and started doing deity work, I didn't really think about the term religious, because, you know, when I was growing up and into young adulthood, because of where I live in America, religious tends to focus more on like devout Christians and devout Jews and devout Muslims, but it's not really a term I thought to apply to paganism. Even though, like, I know that Wicca is a religion, for some reason the word religious didn't really click in my head. But, you know, upon further reflecting in the most recent year, yeah, I would use the term religious. I mean, a lot of what I do is based on religious aspects, so it's weird for me to have gone from straight up like hardline atheist to calling myself religious. You know, I don't, you know, go screaming out on the street about how religious I am, but it is a title that I've started to accept that it applies to me, and that's weird. This is a fun one, and it means a lot to me. It's a very personal topic, but I didn't realize that witchcraft would reignite my love for reading and for learning and for knowledge. I have ADHD, and I have struggled for a long time, since middle school, with learning and studying, and I've struggled with reading, not in that reading was hard, but I found it difficult to engage with material that I just didn't care about. And so I went from being a voracious reader, like straight up, there was a time in elementary school where I had a book in my hands. I was a couple years ahead of my grade in terms of reading levels. If I was in 5th grade, I'd be at like a 7th or 8th grade reading level, that kind of thing. So I had a pretty thick book in my hands, and we were walking in a line to go somewhere in school. And on more than one occasion, I would run headfirst into poles because I was so engaged in what I was reading, I just wasn't paying attention to where I was going. And then that just dropped off later, and I really just lost that passion for reading and for books. So witchcraft really helped to reignite that. I found material that I cared about, material I wanted to read, and relearning to read for fun, and learning how to study topics that I care about that require like actual study. It was a really validating experience to know that I could still do that in a way, because I just struggled so much with school and school reading material. The second to last point is that witchcraft really helped me come into myself. A lot of the stuff that I focus on is stuff that I've always been interested in, but I also hung out with a lot of like atheist friends or people that were more science oriented that would sort of mock religion in general. They would mock astrology, they would mock divination of any kind. You know, all those things were just like dumb things that those people did. It was all sort of lumped into the new age sphere. So I never really felt like I was able to explore those and to talk about those things if they interested in me, or to talk about those things if they interested me to my friends. You know, there was a big part of my life I couldn't explore, or felt like I couldn't explore, without risking potential ridicule from people that I really cared about. So I just sort of set it aside for so long, but being able to find all of this again, because as some of you know, I had a couple of starts and stops with the material, with witchcraft in general, but being able to come here and learning to feel confident in the stuff that I enjoyed, learning to feel confident in the stuff that I then learned and would know a fair amount about, and being able to find community that would take me seriously made me feel really validated. So it was nice to be able to find people that understood me completely. I didn't have to explain you know, I maybe it's silly, I don't know if you believe in it, but this is just what I've been, you know, I don't have to preface it. I can just be like, this is what I'm into, this is what I've been learning, I read this book recently, and people will be like, that's so cool, I've been reading this, I've been doing this. There's just no need for that preface to hesitantly go in and see if people were gonna mock you or think you were dumb. It's great. And the final part is that I didn't know it was gonna land me here. As in, like, here on social media and here specifically on YouTube. I made this channel, I think I've spoken about this here before, at the very least I've spoken about it on OWASP. I made this channel because I was in communities and I was starting to learn enough to start to give at least a little bit of advice to novices, and I wanted to be able to help guide them and to be able to give advice without having to repeat myself all the time. So I made this just thinking it would be like something I would link sometimes. I get like 5 views and that would be it. And I never would have imagined I would have ended up at 10,000 subscribers, which is a very new development. I didn't make like a big official announcement video or anything, but you know, it was a goal of mine once I saw that I was actually getting some traction and it felt like it was something that could be attainable. I never would have thought before that this would have gotten anywhere. My first 2 or 3 videos were an absolute shock at how much people cared, and it's still a shock how much people care to hear my thoughts, my opinions, my you know, my parts of my practice, people saying that they want to hear more about what I specifically have to say, what I want to share. It's different, and I never would have thought, you know, getting into witchcraft more officially in the last few years, that this would be something I could do. So I just want to say thank you guys. We hit right on the mark of 10,000 like the day before I hit the 1-year anniversary of this channel, which is amazing. So I hope you guys continue to stick with me. I really like doing this. I know that I've been missing some weeks here and there. I've just been a little bit busy, but I'm gonna try to get back on the weekly schedule, and thank all of you for sticking around and supporting me. If you want to follow me in other places, I have social media stuff. I have my usernames here, Twitter, Instagram. I'm trying to be a little bit more active on TikTok, so if you want to come see me make sort of like meme-ish content on TikTok, 60 seconds isn't a lot to get my mouth running. You know, go follow me those places. I'm super fun. Twitter is also very fun. We have a good time there. I have a Discord server that is also going to be linked below, so if you want to come hang out with the community, as I focused a lot on community this video, you know, come hang out in there. Otherwise, I'm part of a podcast called Occultism with a Side of Salt, and I will have links to that as well. So if you want to continue to hear my thoughts on long-winded topics in the length of like an hour with my 2 wonderful friends, Georgina and Temperance, then you can go check that out and get even more of my wonderful voice. Otherwise, that's all I got for you guys this week. That was bad. Otherwise, that's all I've got for you guys this week, and I'll see you next time. So, blessed be.